Spring is here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
You ready?
Showtime.
On May 3rd, summer starts with The Fall Guy.
Let's do it later.
Let's drink a spicy margarita.
Make some bad decisions.
Yes.
Audiences are falling in love with the most entertaining film of the year.
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy?
Fall Guy. That's what the poster said.
See Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt in the movie critics say exists to make you happy.
Trying to make it out?
Nope.
Because I don't either. It's not what I'm into right now.
What are you into?
Talking.
Yeah.
The Fall Guy. Only in theaters May 3rd. Rated PG-13.
Get ready for the greatest roast of all time. The Roast of Tom Brady. A Netflix live event happening May 5th. Hosted by Kevin Hart. The 7-time world champion gets his cleats held to the fire by famous friends and frenemies on an unforgettable night where everything is fair game. Tune in on May 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific time for the Roast of Tom Brady. Live only on Netflix.
Life is a highway, and on it there will be many chicken sandwiches. But there's only one McCrispy. So go ahead and hit the turn signal if you know about this juicy gem of a detour.
Welcome back, Ram fans. This is Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are proud members of the Fans First Sports Network. That's fansfirstsports.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Our channel is at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. You'll hear from my co-host, Tom, on occasion as well. Hey, we're not Rams insiders. We're just longtime fans who love talking about our Los Angeles Rams. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 440, and we are going to talk about a player who wore number 40. And man, this is a fun conversation, a fun guy to talk about. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. In college, Hirsch played for Wisconsin and Michigan, took both teams to top 3 rankings in the AP polls. And it was during this time he earned his nickname Crazy Legs for his supposed interesting running style, his legs going every which way. After college, served in the Marines from 1944 to 1946, and then for the Chicago Rockets of the All-American Football Conference, and eventually made his way to the Rams in 1949, played with the Rams from 49 to 1957. Let's just talk about his 1951 season, shall we? Kind of compares to what Cooper Kupp did a couple years ago. During the 51 season, Hirsch helped the Rams win the NFL championship and tied or broke NFL records with 1,495 receiving yards, an average of 124.6 yards per game, had 17 touchdown receptions. On the opening day of that 51 season, Norm Van Brocklin passed for an NFL record 554 yards, including 173 yards and 4 touchdowns to Hirsch. That team, by the way, also included Bob Waterfield and Tom Fears. All 4 of those guys are Hall of Famers. So the Rams finished with an 8-4 record and beat the Cleveland Browns in the 1951 National Championship game. So 51, clearly Hirsch's best year. And get this, on his 17 touchdown catches, Hirsch averaged 51.2 yards per reception, including a 91-yard touchdown reception, the longest of the year in the NFL that year. Elroy Crazy Leg Hirsch, he was a big deal in the early 50s, and rightfully so. Very few receivers, even modern receivers, can match him as far as his ability to make big plays, long touchdown receptions, Elroy Crazy Leg Hirsch, number 40 for our Los Angeles Rams. Okay, we're going to get into a very difficult subject here, a very controversial one. Comes to light after the Rams drafted kicker Josh Karty out of Stanford. Should you ever draft a kicker? Now, during our mock draft season, I drafted Josh Karty a couple times, made the argument for drafting a kicker, basically hopefully solve that problem once and for all, and some of my roundtable partners pushed back, nope, don't draft a kicker, never draft a kicker, and we went back and forth on that subject, and I don't think there is a hard yes or no answer on this, but there is some information I want to share on this topic that suggests you should never draft a kicker. Now, rather than rehash all the data I found, I'm going to point you to a website, Summer Sports, S-U-M, that's one M, E-R, sports.com, and they have quite the deep dive into this subject, data analytics explaining why you should not draft a kicker. I'll summarize the points, but I encourage you to search for this site, search for this article. All the data is there. I'm not going to bore you with all the numbers or even try to interpret the numbers for you, but it's pretty good stuff. I will share some highlights of this and some other data I found on this subject that suggests you should never draft a kicker. One of the points they made is that there is not a significant statistical difference, a distinguishable difference between the performance of drafted and undrafted kickers. And I shall quote here, seeing that other positions have steeper draft curves than this, the result that follows is that the opportunity cost of using a draft pick on a kicker makes it simply not worth it. And there's some other points made on this site and others. One of the more interesting ones is teams don't know how to scout kickers. They really don't. Maybe they're getting better at it, but historically they have relied on their special teams coaches to chime in on whether a kicker is going to make it. And we have plenty of examples of kickers getting drafted relatively high and not working out. The great example is Robert Aguayo, drafted in the second round by Tampa Bay in 2016, pretty much a washout. But that's what we'll call anecdotal evidence. And let me real quickly explain the difference between anecdotal evidence and scientific evidence. Anecdotal evidence is, the guy from North Springfield drives down to South Springfield and he sees a carjacking. He witnesses it with his own eyes, and his friend tells him, my friend got carjacked in South Springfield too. There is anecdotal evidence that you need to stay out of South Springfield, but then the real data tells you that North Springfield has 3 times as many per capita carjackings as South Springfield. Anecdotal evidence, trivial and interesting. Real data, pretty meaningful. And my apologies to the residents of North and South Springfield. The bottom line here is that teams just are not very good at scouting kickers. There's pretty much a consensus by draft time of where players at other positions should be drafted. Pretty rare that you see CBS Sports ranking a running back in the top 5 and another site ranking that same running back outside the top 40. But with kickers, it happens. Experts and teams just are not very good at evaluating kickers.
Life is a highway, and on it there will be many chicken sandwiches. But there's only one McCrispy. So go ahead and hit the turn signal if you know about this juicy gem of a detour.
Why is it that with sparkling water, I'm always playing guessing games with what flavor I'm drinking? Is it citrus? Is it aluminum can flavored? Not sure. Sparkling ice, though, they really mean flavor. Like in-your-face flavor. Orange mango, black raspberry. Don't even get me started on the strawberry lemonade. Kiwi Strawberry slid right into my taste buds DMs last night and let them know who's boss. No subtleties there, and no sugar either. But it does have vitamins and antioxidants. Find sparkling ice at a major grocery store or club retailer near you. Sparkling ice. Anything but subtle.
Allstate wants to remind fans that mayhem is everywhere. Like when your fantasy league meets up at your house. Everything's great until the hot plate gets too hot for the tablecloth. Now your kitchen's up in smoke. And if you don't have the right home insurance coverage, the cost to fix this is anything but a fantasy. So switch to Allstate, save money, and get protected from mayhem like this. Not available in every state based on coverage selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Savings vary.
Ah, yes, the magnificent Trolley Sour Bright Crawler, also known as Trollicus brightolus. The worm's captivating neon colour makes it an easy, gummy prey.
Trolley!
It's a surprisingly sour, invitingly chewy, staggeringly snackable species unlike anything else found on this planet.
Eat me!
Delicious. Visit Trolley.com to shop now.
Trolley, eat me!
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
And remember John Bonamego, the Rams special teams coach? He had another interesting perspective. He said that he would rather have an undrafted kicker than a drafted kicker. And he explained it like this. A drafted kicker has a lot of pressure on him. His success and failure is completely binary. He either passes or fails. He either makes the kick or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, it can be crushing to his psyche, to his confidence, and to the team's confidence in him. Not so with a running back, an offensive lineman, or a wide receiver. A wide receiver makes the catch or he doesn't. No, it's not as simple as that. And when a drafted kicker starts to miss kicks, it can be the end for that kicker. Whereas an undrafted free agent kicker comes in and starts missing kicks, it's kind of expected, no big deal. Let's give him another shot, let him roll. And when he starts making kicks, man, they get on a roll, confidence starts to soar, and the team's willing to give him a shot. Another thing to consider is let's compare NFL kickers to unemployed kickers. You know what? There are a bunch of unemployed kickers where if you gave them the job, they would be pretty close to the NFL average as far as kicking skills. And to prove this point, they made a comparison between spring league kickers and NFL kickers, and guess what? UFL kickers performed better in 2024 than NFL kickers did in 2023. Now I realize they're technically not unemployed, but you get the point. So you're going to go draft a college kicker, or are you going to try to sign one of these guys? Which is something the Rams might have considered, and maybe they still will. And you want more anecdotal evidence, talking about undrafted kickers versus drafted kickers? I give you undrafted free agent kicker Justin Tucker, who some consider to be one of the greatest ever. That's anecdotal, though. Hey, let's go through the top 20 or so NFL kickers from last year. More or less the top 20. 5 of them were drafted and have had sustained careers with the team that drafted them. Nick Folk, Harrison Butker, Greg Zuerlein, Daniel Carlson, and Jason Sanders. Another 12 were undrafted and are having decent careers. Fairburn, Brandon Aubrey, the rugby player, Cameron Dicker, who the Rams had in camp, cut him. Now he's doing pretty good with the Chargers. Chris Boswell, Chase McLaughlin, Cairo Santos, Riley Patterson, Will Lutz, Young Ho Ko, Justin Tucker, Eddie Pinero, and Matt Prater, all undrafted. Then there were another 2 kickers that were drafted and were pretty much immediately cut by the team that drafted them and then went on to have pretty good careers. Jake Elliott and Matt Gay. This might have been what John Bonamego was talking about here. And then there was one more drafted in the 6th round and cut after 1 year, who has also went on to have a pretty good career. That's Dustin Hopkins. Now, that's more than anecdotal. That's a good snapshot of the current situation in the NFL. Now, there's some pretty strong arguments for drafting a kicker. Let's take Joshua Karty. If the Rams had passed on him, very likely they could have signed him as an undrafted free agent and used that 6th-round pick for another player that probably has a chance of making a decent impact on a team. But there's also a chance that Joshua Karty says, screw you guys, I'm signing elsewhere. You didn't see the value in drafting me. I'm going to go where I want. So you miss out on him entirely. So that's one of the reasons to spend a 6th-round pick or even a 7th-round pick on a kicker. Why not? Like I've argued, there's no such thing as a bad 7th round pick. Anecdotal evidence aside, statistically, the data tells you don't draft a kicker. That said, I'm very happy that the Rams drafted Joshua Karty. Again, shout out to summersports.com, Summer Sports with one M in summer. Just do a search for them and maybe include never draft a kicker, and you'll find their article. Pretty good stuff. I'm not going to try to regurgitate it here. It's pretty deep. It's pretty intense. It's very analytical. Some pretty slick charts and stuff. Maybe hard for some to ingest, but check it out. I'm going to close things out with my fearsome 4 post-draft observations. Observation number 1, I have to agree with Nick Wright, who I happen to agree with more than just about any other sports commentator, including the fact that LeBron is greater than Michael Jordan. Nick Wright was commenting on Howie Roseman's draft grades. He's the Eagles GM, gets A+ every year. And Nick pointed out that Howie Roseman's draft record aligns pretty closely with how the major sites rate the prospects. If Howie Roseman, dare I say, is using Daniel Jeremiah's draft grades, draft rankings, prospect rankings, then Daniel Jeremiah is going to love Howie Roseman's draft picks. I'm not saying that's what's going on, but it makes you wonder, and it also makes me wonder, how much do these GMs even look at those rankings? Do they look at it for laughs, or do they look at it for additional information? Love to ask Les Snead that question. Observation number 2, Jim Harbaugh drafting Wolverines. You know, sort of like me drafting Puka Nacua last year. You get familiar with guys close to you. Maybe you know a little bit more, so you go ahead and draft them. But Harbaugh better be careful, because a few years ago, I also drafted Tutu Atwell. And I'm talking about fantasy football here, of course. Observation number 3, the steal of the draft for the Rams might be Bo Limmer. After listening to Tom Courts and Paul Walia in our roundtable, Limmer could have easily gone in the 4th round. Has starter potential, according to most of the analysts. Man, if any one of our 3 guys go down in the middle, we don't have to shuffle. We just put Limmer in there. Don't miss a beat. And observation number 4, I'm going to jump out of the football swim lane over to baseball for this one. The other night, against the Diamondbacks, the top 4 Dodgers, Mookie Betts batting .368, Ohtani .336, Freddie Freeman .302, Will Smith .362. That's a pretty tough deal for pitchers to get out of the first inning. Freddie Freeman, .302, the weak link. Gotta pick it up, Freddie. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.